Welcome once again to Living in the 21st Century. Joining me today is Vasyl Savchenko, former Transportation Minister of Ukraine. Vasyl, it's a pleasure to have you in again today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I read recently that Senate is an uphill battle in the Senate to try to approve at least $60 billion, $65 billion to Ukraine for aid. How important and how urgent it is right now at this stage to get this money as soon as possible?
First of all, I'd say that Ukraine troops are extremely limited in ammunition at the battle line. And, for example, we are not able to use the same number of rounds against Russia army, which has received a lot of ammunition from their partners from North Korea, and they are receiving combat drones from Iran. And I think that there are a lot of information about cooperation Russia with China. And because of it, it's quite difficult for Ukraine forces to hold our military operations. But Ukraine forces are fighting now using technology which are able to use it in Ukraine. First of all, it's drones. For example, Ukraine officials have invited all inventors in Ukraine to produce drones, and haven't been adopted dozens of drones which are funding from state budget, from public budget, from public organization. And thanks this drone, it's combat units are fighting effectively at the battle line, but it cannot influence for Russia Federation for a long time. And at the same time, Ukraine was visited head of European Union, who promised Ukraine 1,150,000 rounds during a year, but we don't know how fast will we receive it, and how will we be able to use it, because now at the battle line there are a lot of really cruel battles, and we can see that there are a lot of challenges for Ukraine. For example, Russia are not able to defeat Ukraine's army in Ukraine, and you know that Ukraine have managed to liberate more than half territory which was captured in 2022 year. And now we are going to have combat aircraft, fighter jets, which we were promised from our partners, but we haven't received it, and we don't know when will they appear at the battle line. And to be honest, lack of ammunition, as usual, reflect on effectivity of waging war. And you know that Ukraine forces, as usual, very often are clashing with Russia's troops, and we have victims too. And we can see that Ukraine forces are eliminating about 1,000 Russia's troops, and at the same time, because of cruel combat and lack of ammunition, we are not able to save up soldiers' life, and you know that we don't have the same number human resources, and we know that Russia Federation is looking for mercenaries around Russia Federation in different countries in Russia Federation, peoples from the prison and people who has debts in the bank and any funding systems. And because of it, situation is quite difficult for us, and we are waiting for our partner support, and we are waiting for support from United States, and we hope for voting for support for Ukraine for in House Representatives and in Senate. And we are sure that United States President will fulfill his promises he gave us from the very beginning. And because of it, we believe in our partners, and we will do all we can to defend our countries and to fight against invaders.
You know, something, Vasil, that recently came to my mind, and that we are at some crossroads in life history. From the standpoint, the message is clear that we have democracy versus dictatorship. And this is how it really appears right now. You have Iran, you have North Korea, you have China, all those dictatorship countries are siding with Putin, while countries of democracy are with Ukraine. It's democracy versus dictatorship on one hand. Now, here's my situation. When this starts to happen, do you think the world should just see this war as a Ukraine-Russia war, or a war between democracy and dictatorship? And if democracy don't win, this world we exist in, eventually our democratic standards of living will be something in the past. Then they need to know how vitally important it is to consistently structured and assist Ukraine in winning this war. It may come to the time now where they may even need more than just weaponry. They may need some form of military contribution in terms of personnel, in terms of soldiers to help fight this war, because it's more than just two nations fighting against each other. It's a system. And our input in this system will determine what our future will be like. What is your opinion on that?
In my opinion, I'd like to say that the democratic countries must understand that it's challenge for all of us, because, for example, events in Gaza, it's the same kind of problem. Taiwan, it's the same kind of problem, and challenges in the so-called big South, and challenges against Baltic countries, and about negotiations about threat for Poland. And all these problems must encourage all countries to understand that it's threats for all of us, and must demonstrate that they decided to undermine world order. And because of it, really important to understand that Only unity will help us to stand against autocracy and against dictatorship. The only way to survive, because, for example, we know that United States has a leading role among member of NATO bloc and leading role in as main democracy in the world. And now we can see that weakness with support encouraging these countries to go ahead. We can see negotiations about it and attempt to communicate with autocracy, and it demonstrates only weakness. For example, I wanted to say that in the past, since independence, Ukraine had third biggest nuclear power arsenal, but under pressure, including Russia's pressure, Ukraine have to transmit it to Russia Federation or eliminate. Ukraine eliminated long-range bombers, long-range missiles, and hoped for partnership, hoped for cooperation. And now we are fighting with minimal support from partners. We lack of ammunition, we lack of military support, and to be honest, during the 2 years, our economy has been destroyed. Partly, but destroyed. We are not able to have higher effective economy to resist and to build new military plant, because we are under threat and we are being shelled every night. From Russia Federation and from ammunition which they have received from their partners. And because of it, it's challenge for all countries, because for example, all countries who's observing the events and United States role and leading role in NATO, they can understand that they are not under protection, and they have no chances to hope for support, and they will look for new partners. And this way, autocracy will destroy this unity, and the world order will collapse. And it's threat for all of us, because autocracy domination will not develop our countries and will not develop our planet. It will involve us in domination around the world. And to avoid it, we must be together. We must understand it. And it was confirmed during Germany's Chancellor to United States, who commented it, and it was commented head of European Council, who expressed his opinion, and when he visited Ukraine, he had to stay in a bomb shelter because of Russia's shelling. It's type of threatening, and we know that in Europe they are trying to block all routes from Ukraine. You know that Ukraine's forces managed to eliminate a big part of Russia fleet in Black Sea. And now trade routes to Ukraine and from Ukraine are under control military forces of Ukraine. Ukraine inventors invented sea drones, and thanks this new type of weapon, Ukraine forces are holding under control these routes. In cooperation with our partners, and I'd say that we can see that ahead they will attack us. For example, in the summer will be new election campaign, and this year we will have many election campaign in European Union and in United States. And for example, Russia is playing their games through radical movement in European countries, and in United States are trying to use without to work without limits, and to get to political procedures just to receive influence. And we know that sanctions against Russia Federation are working, but don't work effectively to limit Russia Federation in resources, and they have activated all opportunities to undermine Ukraine's support for Ukraine from partners, and to receive leverage for different countries, forming a new radical political movement in different countries. It's new type, but we must understand that they have learned their lessons, and they will not stop. They will go ahead. And because of it, we must know about these threats, and to know how to cope with it. Because if we don't cope with it, it will be next our loss.
Despite of all of this, what progress now is Ukraine at in terms of recapturing landmass that was taken by Russia? Do you see a clear path now than even before of Ukraine gaining success or becoming more successful in winning this war?
We hope that we will have success, because we believe that we will receive ammunition from our European partners. We hope for support from United States. We hope for changes because of new strategy, and because of new type of behavior, and we hope that we will manage to produce ammunition at the plants in Ukraine which haven't been destroyed, and we hope that our partners will provide us when we have entity from different countries, including from Ukraine. But to be sure, we must see clear steps. Now we haven't seen, and every day we can see that situation is in danger, and the situation haven't been solved, and we don't know how it will work, because for example, we need to draft 500,000 soldiers, and Ukraine forces are going to do it, and the soldiers must be weaponized just to have opportunity to have reserve to defend Ukraine and to defend our neighboring country. For example, if we have any defeat at the battle line, the Russians will use next attack to NATO countries. And I think that, first of all, under threat are Baltic countries, who's NATO members. And they will try to to check how NATO will react. And they know all these questions and answers for these questions.
But one thing I want to ask, Ukraine want to draft at least 500,000 recruits to be soldiers. Now, when it comes to Russia, I know Russia somewhat is starved for military personnel. Some of his own people try to escape in the past so they won't be involved in the war. Where is Putin going to grab his people from? Are he going to just force school kids to get involved in this war at a young age that can't really comprehend what combat is all about? What is Putin going to do? Opposed to Ukraine, who may very well be able to get that amount of soldiers simply because Russia has suffered more losses personally, from a personal standpoint, than Ukraine. How do you see that playing out there?
Situation is changing. First of all, I'd say that Russians are studying and for example, from low drilled soldiers, we could see from the very beginning they received more drilled and more educated soldiers. And they have time and they have human resources to draft. And they are living in the full-scale propaganda in domestic relations, and they are changing point of tension. For example, we have seen many goals in Ukraine, and they are changing them, and the Russians believe it because they don't have independent sources of information. That they believe that West wanted to attack Russia Federation, and because of it, they decided to attack Ukraine, and it demonstrates that they have no choice and they don't think why they have to go to war. There are not many protests because their domestic low offensive executive bodies suppress all this attempt to protest, and they haven't announced about the drafting campaign, but I think that they will be able to do it after so-called election campaign for Russia's presidency. But we know that the next presidents of Russia Federation will be the same, and they don't care about. They don't have choice because they are following orders, and you know that. This type of behavior demonstrates that there are not any power to resist, and it means that they will be able to draft all people they wanted, and it means that number of army can be different, and it means that, for example, according to our European partners' estimation from military sphere, commented that in 5 or 10 years Russia will be able to attack European countries, not only bordering with Russia Federation, but country whose allocated farther from their borders, because we know that human resources are big, and funding is enough because they have received only cap limits for fuel, for oil, but they were not prohibited to export, and it allows them to have enough profit from their natural resources to cover funding their army and growing army consuming. For example, I was surprised that they decided for this budget, Russia Federation have allocated about 40% military expenditures. And it's more than had Soviet Union. It had 37%, and they have more. And it means that their economy is restoring for military rail and will work against Ukraine and against our partners. And there are no any choice that they will be persuaded that it's wrong way. Only power and demonstrations that we are together and their casualties at the battle line. And we know it because we Ukraine's authorities have tried to communicate with them since 2014. But its attempt to have negotiation, it's lie. And this negotiation is false, and they are working in full-scale propaganda.
Great. Well, on that note, Vasil, we come to the last few seconds of our program. I really want to thank you for coming on, and we will continue on this topic. And for all those who have been tuning in or living in the 21st century, I want to say to you, have an enjoyable day.